How's everybody doing tonight? Good, good. I'm excited, to be here this evening. And I tuned in. I took vacation last week, so I tuned in via satellite and listened to Pastor Adam's amazing word on the redeemed mind. And I said, you know what? I'm going to stay in the body, and we're going to pick up tonight with the heart of the disciple. And normally I have a lot of not analogies, but demonstrations. But because I'm talking about the heart of a disciple, I'm going to kind of open up my life and put it on display, so that way I can show a little transparency here. Because when you talk about discipleship, it's a very personal thing, and I think that God does things always exponentially. When we go through our life, we always think of it through our lens of how is it going to affect me? What am I going through? But God doesn't do addition, he does exponential. So he had you in mind when I was going through something 20 years ago. He had us in mind when the disciples were going through something 2,000 years ago. So while we look at it, oh God, have you forgotten me? He goes, no, I haven't forgotten you. You're part of a bigger plan. And when you realize that, yes, I'm going to get a blessing out of it, but it's really for somebody else. And so as we explore this tonight, we're really going to kind of peel apart what it means to have the heart of the disciple. And don't get mad at me because I didn't write it. I'm just the messenger. And so, if you have it, if you don't have it, you're going to find out tonight. But that's between you and God. I don't have nothing to do with it. You can always come to Growth Track and we'll talk about it some more and we'll help you figure it all the way out. But as we jump in there, I'm going to share a story, and you can turn there if you like to. It's in 2 Kings chapter 4, verses 1 through 7. And this is one of my favorite stories. And if you do come to Growth Track, you will hear this. It's part of the lesson. But it's a story of the widow woman who her husband had died and she owed a lot of debt. And so she thought she was destitute. And the truth in this story is the enemy can never take your gift. He doesn't have that authority. But what he can do is he can get you to despise it and overlook it and put it on the shelf. So you have this woman these creditors were going to come and they were going to take her sons and put them in slavery. And she was kind of just helplessly lost to it. And you have the prophet Elisha come to her house and he says to her, he goes, what do you have? And she responds, I don't have anything. I got nothing. All I got is a pot of some oil. So wait a minute. Your first comment said, I don't have anything. Your second comment said, I got some oil. But it ain't nothing, basically. He responds to her and he says, take your 2 sons and send them out and go and get some more pots. Okay, what do I need some pots for? I got a pot of oil. You're going to give me some empty pots. She just sends her sons out. They get as many pots. He goes, tell them to get as many pots as they can. They get as many pots. They come back. He comes back, puts the pots in front of him. He goes, all right, I want you to pour the oil into the pots. So she starts to pour the oil in the pots. He goes, just stop when you run out of pots. She keeps going, fills all the pots. Wait a minute, all I got is this little bit of oil. I didn't know it was a bottomless pot. All the pots are full, and now she's in the oil business. He goes, whenever you need, sell it. Now there's something unique about it because the prophet didn't bring oil. He didn't even bring the miracle. He brought perspective. See, you thought you had nothing because someone told you what was on your shelf was worth nothing. And sometimes in our lives, we have things that someone has told us are worthless things, but it's actually what God is about to use. It's the gift that God gave you. Because God never leaves us empty. He never leaves us without anything. God always places something in us. He places something that no one can take. So now I'm going to kind of go into my life. I was a young kid, as a pastor's kid, and I watched my parents in ministry. And when you watch your parents in ministry, you get this strong desire never to go into ministry. And I shared with Pastor Kenny a couple of weeks ago, I was super cynical. I was the cynical Sam, if you want to call him that. And I refused to go into ministry. I love God, but I didn't want to go into ministry. I said, I'm never going to be a pastor. It's the most worthless job that you could ever find. You don't get to spend time with your family. You don't get paid nothing. And basically, you're working around the clock, and people don't listen. I had the most just horrible view. I was Moses at the end. I was beating rocks. I was just everywhere. And I was only 16 years old. And so what am I going to do? At first I wanted to be a Laker, but then I only had enough faith to get me to 6'1", and it kind of ran out, or my faith ran out. And so I said, all right, I can't be a Laker, so I think I'm going to be a musician. And so I was like, God, I want to be a musician. And so senior year, I'm applying to colleges and all kind of different things, and I get accepted. And then I get this tug that says, you need to go to Bible college. But I thought we already told you, I don't want to be no pastor. Strong tugging, pulled to go to Bible college. So in my mind, I said, all right, I'm going to go to Bible college. I don't want to be a pastor, but I'm going to go to Bible college. And the biggest reason why I didn't want to be a pastor, because I used to say, I had a famous saying that I don't like people. I said, God, I love you. I just don't like people. So I don't think this is going to be the thing that you want to put me in. And you may look at me today and go, Pastor John didn't like people? No, I didn't like people. They got on my nerves. I'm just being really frank and really honest. And so I went to Bible college, and I'm sitting there amongst a student body that's all on fire. We're going to reach the lost. We're going to do this. And I'm sitting there like, yeah, that's what you think. You're going to be broke. Somebody's going to break into your church. They're going to steal all your equipment. You're going to have this. You're going to be up all night. And my view was accurate. It was my truth. It was my reality. So they're sitting there and they're listening to the pastor. He's preaching like, oh my God, did you hear his words? I said, I heard him. I'm calm. I'm going to pass my test and I'm going to do my thing. And I'm just going to go home and then I'm going to go be a musician. I'm just doing this because I did have a fear of God. And that's what got me to Bible college. I didn't have a love of ministry, but I had a fear of God. And sometimes God will take that little thing. That was my oil pot. My oil pot sitting on the shelf was, God, all I got is this. I love you, I fear you, but I'm going to get you out the way, and then I'm going to do my thing. Thank God for that. I think that had to do with my parents. That had to do with prayer. They had to do enough to have that at least level of reverence to say, you know what, God, I'm going to do you first, and then I'm going to do me. And he goes, all right, sure. We'll see how that works out for you, kid. So fast forward, I make it through the year. I'm still just as cynical on day 365 as I was on day one. And I said, they go, next year you're going to go and you're going to pick your ministry and then you're going to go. So this is now time to walk into an ordination field. And I'm like, no, that's not what I signed up for. I thought you guys at least would have a music program. You don't even have a music program. I told you I'm not pastoring. I'm done. I'm out. Dropped out of school. Peace. 2 fingers in the air. Then I decided to do what every normal 18, 19-year-old does in Oklahoma. I go and party at Walmart. But see, I'm going to talk about the protective grace of God, because God said, I'm going to take this fool all the way from California. I'm going to drop him in Oklahoma, because when he wiles out, there ain't nothing to do except learn how to push some cows over and look at some grass. So he's not going to get into too much danger. If I leave him in L.A., when he wiles out, he's going to get into trouble. So I started partying, I started drinking, I started doing all kind of crazy things. Because I said, Lord, I'm not doing this. I'm out. I'm not being a pastor. I love you, I'm just not doing this. And so I worked at a convenience store, and in my convenience store, the whole front of it is glass. And so you can see almost all the way back to California. That's how flat Oklahoma is. And so I'm sitting in the store, and I would work there all the time. I worked the graveyard shift. And so one night, I'm sound asleep at home. And in my dream, I'm in my store, and I look out the window, and I see the whole earth starting to kind of crumble, and I'm hearing sounds and trumpets, and I'm like, oh, man. And then my mom appears in my store, and she's jumping and rejoicing. He's coming. The Lord's coming. And I'm like, hold on. I yell out, I'm not ready yet. As soon as I yell that up, I wake up, cold sweat in my apartment. My heart's beating out of my chest because it was real. I was like, where am I at? Is this what heaven looks like? It's kind of hot in here. I don't know. I instantly hear the voice of God, and he tells me, he goes, what a shame it would be that you wouldn't be ready had that been the moment. Everything that I deposited in you, you wouldn't be ready. Scared the life out of me. Hopped on my knees, repented right there on the side of my bed, called my mom in California. Mama, this is what I've been doing. I've been partying. I've been acting a fool. Lord Jesus, help me. Woke up the next morning. I'm still scared. To be honest, I still didn't want to be a pastor, if I'm going to be totally truthful. Wasn't in my heart. I still was scared of God. Now I'm really scared. I'm like, oh, Lord, he's coming to get me. I shouldn't have dropped out. I should have kept my commitment to my 2 years. I go to my job. I go to work, and the next morning, and a gentleman comes in. He was one of my customers. I knew him by face, and I would just say hi all the time. He walks up to my counter, and he goes, are you ready? So now I'm freaked out. I'm like, oh, Lord. I thought I had woken up from the dream. Now I don't know what's going on. And I told him, I just answered. I couldn't even think. I just said, yes, I'm ready. And then as I said yes, I'm like, what did I just tell this man I'm ready for? I don't even know what, it's all he said. He goes, all right, give me your address. I'm picking you up Sunday. And I said, okay, here it is, my address. Then I'm thinking now, remember, I'm 18 years old. I'm just like, oh my God, who's this guy gonna pick me up? I'm from Inglewood. We don't let people just pick us up off the street. I'm in Oklahoma. I know y'all nice, but we don't just do this. So I'm sitting in my apartment Sunday. This man pulls up, he picks me up, and we start driving out to the cornfields. I mean, it was just way out in the sticks, an hour outside of the city. And I'm driving, I'm like, Lord, where is he taking me? I was like, we're going to go to this church. They're going to be drinking poison and doing backflips. I don't know what's going on. I'm picturing the Blues Brothers. I'm picturing all kind of stuff in my mind. I'm like, Lord, where are we going? So he pulls up to this little tiny white steeple church. And we get out and I walk in. And his minister of music quit on that Sunday. Right then and there. And so now, I told you I wanted to go to school for music. Now, I wasn't that good at that time. I knew about 3 songs, and they were rough. And I hadn't been playing the piano for over a year and a half. And so here goes this mouth again of mine. You know what? I can play the piano. What are you talking about? No, you can't. You know 3 songs, and you barely know them, and you ain't practiced them. Well, the amazing thing was I sit down, and guess what their song set was for that Sunday? The only 3 songs I knew. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, God, I'm going to put it out there. It sounded wonderful. Holy Spirit moves on my heart. He says, tell them you're going to be at every service till you come back to California. I said, God told me I'm supposed to be at every service here until I go back to California. I had a fear of God. Fear of God is understanding one thing, one simple truth is that sometimes we wait for understanding to lead to our obedience. But God says it's the reverse. I need you to be obedient. It's going to lead to your understanding. None of it made sense. I wish I could make this story up. None of it made sense. You know, I think it was maybe 6 months had gone by, and I'm doing the music thing, and I'm thinking, good, this is cool, God. This is where I'm very just mellow and humble. And the pastor comes to me, he goes, John, we got 12 young people, and we don't have a youth department. We don't have it. I want you to start it. I want you to grab these young people. I'm 18 years old. I still don't want to pastor. Had not changed. And I'm like, all right, you know, these kids, now I'm 18, they're like 3 years younger than me, so we're practically friends. So I walk in, it was the worst opening youth pastor message ever. I sit them around the table in a circle, and I go, listen, we're going to do this like this. Either we're going to be real or we're going to just go back to the main service. I'm not going to mess around with you. I'm not going to shuck and jive. I'm not here for all this stuff. Either we're just going to read the Bible and we're going to do it or we're not. Don't waste my time. I don't know. Maybe we should start. I'm telling Pastor Aaron, that's how we should start maybe in Pomona. I don't know. Those 12 kids turned into 200 kids. Not me. Had nothing to do with me. Obedience. Fell in love with these kids. So one day I'm preparing a message and in my devotion time, and God goes, you love them kids, don't you, John? I love my kids. I don't like their parents, but I love the kids. I don't know, you bless these poor children with these horrible parents that don't want to go to church and don't listen. They're the ones I told you why I don't want to pastor. He goes, well, you do anything for those kids. I'm like, yes, I would. He goes, but they mess up. I go, I know, but it's okay. It's their parents' fault most of the time, but, you know, they got some things. It's okay. We'll work it out. He told me something that changed me forever. He goes, John, the way you see those kids is the way I see everybody. Instantly, it broke in me, that hardness that was in my heart that said I don't like people, because I realized in that moment that my kids were people. And I can't make that statement anymore because I would be excluding them. And so I realized that I had the wrong perspective on a gift that was inside of me. See, God didn't start with saying, John, hey, I want you to be a pastor. He knew that would have never got my attention. I would have tuned him out. I already said I don't want to be a pastor. We already had this conversation. I want to be obedient, but I don't want to do that. God says, I don't care about pastoring. I don't care about your title. He still doesn't care about a title. He goes, I care about your obedience. So sometimes we're only obedient with God to get us onto step 1. Now, he knows that that's our destination. But rather than saying, you know what, I want you to get there because that's too big of an obstacle, God. I can't take all those steps. I'm not ready for those steps yet. He goes, I just want you to be obedient to this step right here. Can you manage that step? Okay, I got on that step. I'm a little wobbly. I don't know what it looks like. It's a little uncomfortable. I want to go back. No, don't go back. And that's where he gets us. Just like the prophet said. Prophet didn't walk in and say, hey, ma'am, you know what? I'm going to put you in the oil business. And that's what we always want from God. God, give me the whole plan. Give me everything, and then I'll move. God says, no, go get the pots. It don't make sense, but go get the pot. Go get the empty pot. Go do what I asked you to do. It's not going to make any sense. You're going to actually look pretty foolish. You're going to look very foolish, but it's okay because my word trumps what your word says. Amen. And then as you start pouring, I'm going to get you active, and as your activity starts flowing, then you're going to see me start to move in your life, and you're going to see multiplication start to happen. See, he says, John, I just want you to get out active. I just want you to take these 12 kids, and I want you to just love these kids. Don't worry about a title. Don't worry about anything. Just spend time with the 12. If you spend time with 12, I'm going to teach you how to love 12,000. That's how God moves in a disciple's heart. He doesn't come with this amazing offer trying to talk us into things. He goes, do you trust me? I'm going to give you one step. I'm going to give you one step, and I'm going to ask you to trust me. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understandings. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight. He's going to straighten out the path, but it says, I have to trust in the Lord with my heart. That's that faith part. That means that there's going to be some unknowns that I'm going to have to step out in and put my trust in, and then my path will become straight. See, the world tells us, wait till you see a straight path, then go down it. God says, no, you're going to see a path, and it's going to look super crooked, super wavy, but I'm with you every step of the way. I just need you to trust me. I need you to put your foot out there, and I need you to walk forward into what I'm calling you to do. See, sometimes, here's the secret. I tell people when they come into Growth Track, we're all called. You don't have to wait for a calling. I'm telling you right now, Pastor John said it. Mark the moment down. This is your time from God. You are called. God designed you to do something amazing. End of story. He doesn't make extra parts. He didn't make 2 Johns. I don't think the world would have been ready for that. He made John Chappelle. He made John Matthews. He didn't make extra parts. So that means I was designed to do something amazing. How do I find out what that amazing thing is? I have to be obedient. I be obedient to the step that's in front of me. That story, while true, there were several steps of obedience that were small, and they grew in stature as I took the next one. The first step was, when you hear my voice, are you going to humble yourself and get on your knees and pray? I could have easily went, that was a dream. All right, good night. I'm going back to sleep. I had the choice. Yes. Sometimes the Holy Spirit, that's as gentle of a tug. That wasn't a gentle tug, by the way. That was a full wake up. But it was a gentle tug. I had the option, though. Oh, that wasn't real. It's okay. I can go back to sleep. But the Holy Spirit says, how do you know it wasn't real? How do you know it wasn't a false start and you got a do-over right now? My spirit says, Lord, you love me that much to give me a do-over? I'm going to just make sure. Get on my knees right now. Lord, amen. Hey, I'm sorry. I know I'm wrong. That was the first. Can you be obedient to that? No one was around. It was 2 o'clock in the morning in Oklahoma. There was nobody around. I can verify it. Just me and the Holy Spirit. That's where he starts to bore out character and issues. Was I perfect? No. I still had all my partying stuff in the house still. I still had roommates. And in the midst of that, they looked at me and they go, what's going on? I'm like, I'm not going to hell, y'all. Y'all can go to hell. I don't want to go to hell. They looked at me on that Sunday morning. Who's picking you up? People were asking me, I don't know, some guy. I don't even know his name. I didn't even know he was a pastor. He's picking me, some guy picking me up. I think he's taking me to a church. Obedient to the little steps. So what I'm going to talk about now, there's 8 qualities of a disciple. And these are the 8 qualities. And we're going to kind of move quickly because I'm going to try to make this 40 minutes of topic fit in 18 minutes. But it's going to give you 8 qualities here that are of a disciple. And the first one is, number 1, found in John 8, 31 and 32. It says, to the Jews who had believed him, Jesus said, if you hold to my teaching, you are really my disciples. Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. The first quality is a disciple is teachable, and he applies it. He says, I'll know your mind if you hold to my teachings. If there's something that I can go back to you and tell you, and not only will I tell you and you're teachable, you're open to hear it, but you're going to apply it. You know, a lot of times, man, you guys sometimes, it's a different era now, but when I was coming through, my first pastor, man, he was tough, man. God knew what he was doing. He looked nice on the outside, but he was mean. He was mean. That's all I can say. He was mean. He loved me, but he was strict on me. And a lot of times when you're with somebody who's in a mentor-mentee relationship, they're going to show you things that don't make sense to you. That's why they're your mentor. If they made sense for you, you wouldn't need them. And see, the thing that we sometimes forget as students is we want to tell the teacher how to teach us. This is how I need to be taught. I think this is what the new format is. Look, I'm going to tell you, I'm a learner. I need to have my hands on things. This is how you teach me. If I don't learn it, it's your fault. That's not Jesus' method. His method is, I'm going to teach you. If you don't understand it, just keep on showing up. So one day I'm driving to church, and my car had broken down, and I was the minister of music, and I had responsibility. I had the audio engineer in my car, and I also had the drummer in my car. And we broke down on the way to church. And I was praying. Like I told you, the church is way out in the sticks. So this big trucker pulls by, and he goes, "Hey, y'all boys need a ride?" "Yes, we do." So my pastor, he liked us there about an hour before service to go through sound check and all the normal stuff. Well, I got there about 5 minutes before service started. And I'm thinking, glory to God, I made it on time. God moved. That's not how my pastor saw it. I got pulled in the office, and I got chewed a new one. "You didn't have a good plan, young man." I'm like, "I did. My plan was to my car to work and to get here." So it seemed like a reasonable plan to me. He goes, "Your plan didn't account for anything to go wrong. Your plan required a perfect environment, and when you didn't have the perfect environment, your plan failed. So you have the wrong plan." I was like, that didn't make no sense. I was like, who plans for their car to break down? If I plan for that, I go get another car. 18-year-old mind. I didn't understand, but I didn't quit. I didn't walk out and go, "You know what, forget this church." Because I remember, wait a minute, God, how did I get here in the first place? See, sometimes we forget how God called us into something, and then we begin to get callous and complacent towards it. Wait a minute, before I was a disciple, I was lost. Before I was in this calling that now is this tough road of walking, I was completely lost and in need of a Savior. That moment, that's what I keep in front of me. That's why I don't mind sharing the story and being transparent with it, because you know what? It reminds me of where I could be right now. I keep that image of that kid in a cold sweat in the middle of the night in my mind because I go, God, that's what you saved me from. That fear of my humanity being gone just like that and being permanently cut off is enough fear to hold in my heart that says, you know what? Even though this road in front of me seems difficult, that road is so much worse. And see, that's the conviction that a disciple must have. I got to know that I was saved from something. I got to know that it's not about me and it's about him. So while I don't understand the lesson that's in front of me, God, I'm going to stay put because you put me here for a reason. And see, so many times this world has taught us to be so disposable. As soon as I don't hear something I like, I pack up and I move. As soon as I get some news that I don't think is appropriate, oh, that's not the right person for me. Wait a minute, how'd you get here? I can't leave. I sat there, and if I have the time, I could tell you all the amazing stories, but God had to call me on it at the end because when it was time to finally come home, there was a moment where I had to resign, and there were some things going on that is a negative environment, and I resigned from my position at the church, and I gave my keys, and I felt wonderful, and God was blessing me, and he goes, now go back and volunteer until you go home. Remember what you told him. You said you're going to be at every service till you get back to California. It took me all the way back to the beginning when everything was rosy, and even though I had the blessing and the release to leave, I didn't have the authority yet. And there was a blessing in the going back and the serving openly and the volunteering because God says, you will be obedient because it's about your character. It has nothing to do with them. It has nothing to do if you're being treated wrong. It has nothing to do with how your environment. You are the change in your environment because if you are led by my voice, then I can move through you. It doesn't matter what anybody else is doing. Number 2, Luke 6:40 says, a disciple is not greater than his teacher, but everyone, when fully trained, will be like his teacher. A disciple looks like Christ. Do I look like Christ? Is that my goal? When I wake up in the morning, do I see Christ or do I see John? When I wake up, do I see the image of what he's transforming me into? Do I see the work in progress? Or do I see nothing going on? You know, you walk upstairs right now to the balcony, you see work going on. You see progress being made. I love progress. I peek back there all the time. Are the classrooms done yet? It's exciting. How close are we? Do we wake up with that same intent? God, what have you changed in me today? Oh yeah, I remember this flap used to be here. That was unforgiveness. Okay, that's gone now. Okay, wow. This used to be doubt. Now it's peace. Okay, yeah, I see this. This is good. I like this picture that we're walking into now, and I'm starting to see it because I'm starting to reflect my teacher. I'm starting to reflect my mentor. You know, a lot of the things that come out of my mouth today are from my first pastor. It's funny because I used to laugh, me and the other young ministers, we used to laugh at the statements that he said, and now here I am 20 years later saying the same things because I started to resemble. I adhered to the teaching. That first part, I was teachable. Number 3, a disciple is driven to reach people. Matthew 4:19-20. Jesus called out to them and said, "Come follow me, and I will show you how to fish for people." And they left their nets once and followed him. I'm called to people. God, we're all in the people business. Newsflash, if you don't like people, you got to go back and check the book because that's what God's in the business of. He's in the business of people. You know, I told you it started with 12 kids. There's something, I couldn't have made that up. Why would it be 12 kids? Why 12? Man, 20-some years later, God, we're in a church and we're doing neighborhood groups and we talk about the 12. There's something magical about 12 people to hold me accountable. While I thought it was about what I was going to give to those kids, it's actually what they gave to me. They gave me accountability. They pushed me. They pulled on me. They made me go and have to sit underneath the fountain to get some word inside of me because I had a responsibility. I had a responsibility. And so that's why when you hear us launch these things, it's not that we just want to launch a program to launch a program. It's for us. It says, God says, you know what? There's 12 people that need you right now. There's 12 people that are waiting for you right now. And while you think they need you, you need them even more. Because your oil is sitting on your shelf right now. Number 4, a disciple pours into others. 2 Timothy 2:2. You have heard me teach things that have been confirmed by many reliable witnesses. Now teach these truths to other trustworthy people who will be able to pass them on to others. The heart of a disciple is, I got to teach somebody else, and not just teach them for the sake of teaching them, teach them because they got to teach somebody else. It's not about building a big audience unto myself. It's about duplicating myself. You know, when I worked at the hotel business, I gave this speech because I was a cleaner. I'd get brought into a hotel, and I had to get it turned around like that. That was what my knack was, and I was very profitable at it. It was very good, but I'd walk into them on the first day, and I said, I'm here on the first day, and it's also, I'm looking towards my last day. I go, I'm not going to be here. I'm not the 10-year manager. That's not this guy. I'll probably be here for a couple of years. I said, and hopefully the next manager is sitting here amongst you. I go, maybe not. Maybe I got to go find them somewhere else. But my hope is that they're here. And that's how I would manage. I didn't manage like, this is my end all be all. I had to always have my eye on, there's something else. As I get you ready, I'm getting the next person ready, getting the next. It was a discipleship model, and I had no idea. But God was preparing. He goes, if you're so always grasping on and holding on to things that your hand is like this, then there's nothing I can do with this hand because I got to pry it open. And see, sometimes we have things, you know, when I first came into ministry, I told you I started with youth, probably started with music before I even started with youth. Music, youth, I've done everything, children's, all kinds of things. I never had this approach to it, though. God, I'm a youth pastor. God doesn't call us that way. The things that he puts in our hands are tools. They're tools for the moment. I don't know how long I need this tool. I need a hammer today. I may need a screwdriver tomorrow. So I'm not a youth pastor. I'm not a worship pastor. I'm not a pastor. I'm a servant. I'm a servant. God, if you need me to park the car, I'm going to park the car. God, if you need me to mop the floor, I'm going to mop the floor. God, if you need me to teach the lesson, I'm going to teach the lesson. What would you have me do? I'm none of them. I'm your servant. You may have given me certain giftings, but they're your gifts. They're your tool belt. They're not my tool belt. If I take your tool belt and I put it on and I start doing my own business without your permission, then I'm in breach. God, you allow me the gift to be able to do music, but it's your gift, it's your tool. Thank you for allowing me this. But God, I'm not going to sing in church no more. I'm going to go sing over here, and I'm going to do this over here. I used to come to church, and I used to bless people, but not anymore. Now I'm going to get paid. Now I have an honorarium of $3,000 if you want to hear me use God's gift. Nothing wrong with what I'm saying. I'm just telling you, keep the right perspective. It's not my gifting. I'm teaching in front of you. It's not my gifting. It's on loan, as long as I'm doing the work that he called me to do. I'm not going to lay hold of it. I can't do that. I'm a steward of it. That means I'm going to make sure the tools are clean. I'm going to make sure they're properly being used. I'm not going to abuse them. I'm not going to take them out without permission. You know, sometimes he says, oh, go ahead. You can use those. Go ahead and do that. I gave it to you. Go ahead and do that. But it's that relationship that says, you know what? I'm the disciple. I'm the servant. I'm the one, and I'm working on behalf of the master. Anything that you've given me, anything that you like, anything that, as I stand here before you, the parts of John that you like are on loan. The parts that you don't like, I'm trying to get rid of. That needs to be the heart. The next one. A disciple is a willing instrument to be used. 2 Timothy 2:20 and 21. In a large house, there are articles not only of gold and of silver, but also of wood and clay. Some are for special purposes and some are for common use. Those who cleanse themselves from the latter will be instruments for special purposes, made holy, useful to the master, and prepared to do any good work. Man, God, I want to be the one that is used for the special purpose. It means the special part, the one that he has prize in. Not just the common one, not just the, you know, when somebody comes and does something in my backyard and they're working, they're like, you want a drink of water? I don't necessarily go get my fine china. Here you go, you get this old Laker cup. They ain't winning right now. No, I want to be the one that's, you know what, hey, I got a special assignment, John. I can trust you. But you know how you earn that trust? It's through obedience. How do I earn the trust through obedience? I tell people, you know, sometimes people come to me all the time. They go, you know, I feel called to ministry. And I go, great, awesome. They go, you know, how do you get there? I'm like, you're already there. This is not the end destination. There's the destination. What do you do? There's somebody in your pasture right now. You have a sheep in your pasture right now. Just open your eyes and find them. If you can't find them, then you got to look for your lost sheep. If God called you to shepherd, then he already gave you a sheep. You may be overlooking your sheep, looking for 100 sheep, but he goes, there's one sheep right there, and until you learn how to take care of the one sheep, you ain't getting the second one. No, I remember as a kid, as a young person, man, I always wanted a nice car. It was just my dream. I wanted a nice car, but as a young man, I don't think that's, you know, daughters, they get the nice car. Sons, we don't. You get the hoopty. No hubcap. And I had a Hyundai Excel. I don't know if you remember Hyundai Excel before they were really cool, but back in the day, the muffler would fall off. And like, I don't know what it was. It was the worst car that it was ever made next to a Pinto. It was right there behind it. It was like the 90s version of a Pinto. And this was my car. And I was like, man, I didn't want this car. I wanted a Volkswagen really bad. I wanted a Bug. I thought it was I said, I just want a little nice Bug, and I could have bought one, and I moved too late, and I ended up with a Hyundai. Something about that. Move on time. But anyway, I had this car, and I would just, whatever. And someone told me, you know what? How you treat this car is how you're going to treat every car. And I go, what do you mean? It's not even that. It's not even all that. How you treat it, you're learning habits. You're born. If you take care of this, then God can entrust you with more. I washed that car. It didn't even need to be washed. Every 2 days, I'm washing my little ugly Honda. I said, it had some ugly wheels. I went to the store. I spent $20. I got 4 hubcaps. They looked like chrome. They were like almost chrome. I don't know, chromium. I don't know what it was. But I slapped them bad boys on there, and it was the cleanest looking Hyundai Excel that ever existed. And I loved it. And then I learned to take care of things, because what you're faithful over little, then I can get more. Then I knew how to appreciate something. And then once you realize it doesn't even make a difference what car it is. Now I could care less. But God teaches the value of what's in front of you. If I say I'm called to preach, I'm called to teach, then a tutor is a teacher. I can grab one person and I can pour into them. Because if I can learn how to steward one, it'll teach me the balance that goes, wow, there's a lot that goes into this. You know, thank God that God made us different than animals where we don't give birth to like 18 kids at one time. You get one, because in the beginning you go, oh, I want a bunch of kids. And then you get the one, you go, no, I don't. Actually, is there a lease program? Can I lease to own? Because you realize what goes into the care. And then as you learn what goes into the care, then it gives you the right perspective. Okay, this is how I prepare because I have more to give. It's the same thing in ministry. God, show me the one. I have a responsibility for every sheep that you put in my care. Those 12 kids that I'm still connected to those 12 kids today. I still have a relationship to them. It's not that I'm not your youth pastor anymore. No. We have a different role. You grew up, you're a shepherd now. I look at their lives, they're married, they're all kind of things. And now I realize how old I am. But I see that thumbprint that I was able to play a part in their life, but it's never done. And so I can't say, God, I want hundreds and hundreds of people. Wow, I don't ask for that. I'm like, God, just help me to be on point with the ones that you've given me. Help me to do it. But see, the thing about, remember I said, it's not about you teaching and getting a bunch of people. It's teaching those to teach. Because God says, you can't do it by yourself, John. I didn't design a method to do that. I designed a method that if you train other people, the harvest is plenty. You're going to need more laborers. And so when you get more laborers, then you're going to be able to truly understand what it takes to get it done. So you realize that the message is not about this. You know, I'm running out of time here, but when Jesus came to the earth, he knew what his message was. His message was, I'm here to save the earth. I'm here to save this world. They're lost, I'm here to save. But if you look at what he did, he was so picky when it came to choosing disciples. People were like, Lord, we want to sign up, we want to do it. And Jesus would send them away. Jesus, have you lost your mind? We got to get everybody. He goes, no, they don't meet the standard. They don't meet the standard because I'm looking for the right characteristics. I'm looking for the characteristics of a disciple. And if you don't have the characteristics of a disciple, you may have the best intentions, but you're going to fall away. You're going to fall aside. As a young minister in that church, because that was my conviction, it really made it awkward. There was it was Oklahoma, there's the Bible Belt, there's pastors coming and going all the time. So there was a bunch of us. There's probably about 20 of us young ministers at the church one time. I was the only one that was on staff. And so they looked at me as the fair-haired kid, and I was like, I don't really want this. It's not that great of a job. It's really not all that. I still had a little bit of cynicism in me. My first time I got hired on, I don't know, Pastor Kenny, if yours went something like this, but my pastor said, son, how much are your bills? And I said, $600, sir. And he goes, all right, I'm going to pay you $700. I said, that's an interesting contract there. Normally we do this by the hour, but we just, okay, all right. And I did it because it wasn't about the money. Really wasn't about. I was scared at the time. I was just, God, I don't want to go to hell still. So if you said $700, $700 it is. And so these young guys would come up and they look at something from afar and they're like, I want what he has. I'm like, you can have it. It's $700. I got it in my pocket right now. It's all here. It comes in one check. And they wanted it, but I noticed over the years they would fall by the wayside. Little things they get turned aside on. Little words, not even the hard ones. They didn't get chewed out over not being at church on time. Little things. And they would fall aside. And that's what I'm sure God was looking at. He goes, you know what? I'm going to test you right now. Because when people would come to him and they would say, you know, Lord, I want to follow you. And he would give them something immediately where their jumping off point was. Oh, I don't know where I'm going to sleep at night. The Son of Man doesn't know where he's going to sleep. Oh. Sorry, God, that's not. I thought we had reservations at the Marriott. Another one. You know, I want to follow you, Lord. Oh, but my dad is terminal. He's going to die in a few days. After he takes care of that, no. You're either going to be here, let the dead bury the dead. When I heard that, I was like, man, Jesus, you're cold. I tell the people in the Growth Track, I'm like, imagine if Pastor John told you that. Hey, you want to join the dream team? But my dad's sick. Yeah, meeting's at Saturday at noon. He's already dead. What you going to do? Be at the meeting. Y'all would have stoned me. So I said, Jesus, what were you thinking? Why would you say that to somebody? I tell this analogy all the time. If Jesus were to appear right now, if he were to come through these double doors, stand here on this cross and say, hey, guess what? We're all going to walk to Fontana right now. How many will go? I know, I'm going. I don't know about y'all. Y'all wait for your own dream. But Jesus showed up right here, right now. I hear the trumpet. I'm walking to Fontana. I don't care how tired. I don't care what shoes I got. I got these boots. These boots was made for walking to Fontana. So I say, if that's your conviction, you go, yes, Pastor, I would do that same thing. Then why do you think just because he's not here that he's not asking you to do something? Does he have to be here physically to get your attention? Or can he just nudge you and tell you, this is what I need you to do? See, what realized, he wasn't being rude to people. He just knew that they didn't know who was standing in front of them. If Jesus was here, I wouldn't say, oh, Jesus, you know what? I got to go get my kids first. I got to go get... No, Jesus just asked me to walk to Fontana. No excuse will do. Yes, I'm going. I know who you are. Yes, I know everything is taken care of. The Messiah is in front of me. That's what Jesus was doing. He was doing the selection process that way because he says, when I have people who know who I am, then they're not going to fall away. When everybody else deserts and runs away, they're still going to be standing here because they know who I am. They know that there's nowhere else to be. There's nowhere best to be. And that's what came up time and time again. After the 5,000, after he fed the 5,000 and 15,000 people walked off, and he looked to those 12 that he picked, and he says, you guys going next? And they said, where are we going to go? You're the Messiah. They didn't understand. They didn't know what he was talking about either, but they go, you're the Messiah. Where are we going to go? So we're just going to sit here until we figure it out. You sound crazy, but you're our crazy God. And that's the kind of heart that God says. He goes, I don't need you to understand. I need you to be obedient. I don't need you to know everything, but I need you to be obedient. I don't have to have you understand why this person can do it and that person can do it and you can't do it. I just need you to be obedient. I don't need you to understand, John, why you feel called to play music, and I took you to a school that didn't have music, but yet I taught you music when you were there. I don't have enough time to tell you all the stories. I learned how to play by ear in that moment, and it took nothing but prayer. It didn't take a teacher, it didn't take anything. It took obedience and a willingness and to sacrifice something, and God imparted something right there because he says, I will give you everything that I designed you to have. All you have to have is the obedience to be able to trust in me, and I will give you the desires of your heart. You don't have to remind me, you don't have to tell me, because the things that you're supposed to have, I made you want to have them. But I'm going to give them to you in my timing. I'm going to give you to them in my ability, and I'm going to give them to you when I know you can handle them. And until then, just hush and do what I told you to do. It's a simple message. I wish it was gentle and it was just, oh, God's not an indulger. He doesn't spoil us. He's gracious, he's giving, he's loving, but he doesn't ruin us. He goes, I'm going to give it to you when you can handle it, because when you can handle it, you're going to get the fullness of the enjoyment of it. He goes, my goal is that you succeed. Pastor Jeremiah talked about a little bit. I come that you have life and that more abundantly. It's not about the death. It's about the life that you have inside of you. And it's about what I'm calling you to do when you realize it. I really feel that verse, when it talks about life and abundantly, the life part is about the salvation, but the abundantly is the walking in the purpose and understanding why I'm here. That's abundant life. When I wake up in the morning and I see, I'm like, God, thank you. I love that I get to do this every day. And it's not because I'm getting paid. It's because I know where my hope is. When I see all of your smiling faces, what the enemy tried to get me to despise and say that I'm not a people person, God showed me the other way. And he goes, no, that's why I can smile when I see you, because I love you. And I know that, man, God, you preserved me for this day. You woke me up 20-some years ago for this day. Because there were people that needed to hear their voice, that wanted to hear it and take on that story and says, you know what, John, I'm going to be a disciple right alongside with you. I know that there's people that are waiting on me. I'm going to go find my 12. I'm going to start pouring out my oil. I got somewhere to be. God made me to do something. He didn't make me to be stagnant. God's not wasteful. So when somebody tells you that God don't have nothing for you, tell them God's not wasteful, so I know you're lying. Why would God waste time and build something that he didn't have a divine plan for? You think he just is that bored that he's like, I'm just going to make an extra Darius. No, he had a plan for each and every life. He called us to be these disciples. He called us to be called by his name, not so we can wear it as a badge, but we wear it as an honor of obedience. Amen. My life, Lord God, is a living sacrifice to you. I'm a vessel that wants to be used by you. Amen.